Hello friends, recently I said that I am learning design systems, and today I want to walk you through what I have learned so far about components. We will start off with something very familiar, a button, and we'll build this using auto layout in Figma. First, to use an auto layout, you need to add a text layer and then apply an auto layout to that text layer by pressing either Shift plus A or Command plus A, either on your MacBook or on your Windows. This gives you a flexible button that you can always adjust the content anytime. Now let's turn this button into a component. You can do this from the right sidebar, or you can use a shortcut key. So for your Mac, you use Command plus Option plus K or Control plus Alt plus K on your Windows. It's very important to understand or note that components have 4 properties. We have variant, text, boolean, and instant swap. So we'll be starting this with variants. Just like the name suggests, variants allows you create different versions of an element. So think about a button with a default state, a hover state, and even primary or secondary styles all in one component. To create a variant, all you need to do is go to the properties panel and click on the plus icon and then select variant, and that's where the magic begins. After adding a variant to your button component, you can create multiple versions under the same component. To add more variants, simply click on the plus icon under the component. So for this example, we'd be creating a hover state, and to do this, we would add a stroke and we remove the fill from the button just to create a difference between both buttons. Now, just to be sure that everything is working correctly, you can drag out the main component or duplicate the main component. You'll notice that on the right sidebar, we have a property called instance. Just to clarify, I renamed mine to instance. By default, when you create a variant, it's called properties. But you can notice that there is one property on the property section for components. So using this property, you can now switch between the default state and the hover state directly from the side panel bar. And of course, you're not limited to just 2 variants. You can create more variants if you need. So again, we'll just to pass more example, we would be creating a tertiary button. Very simple. You just remove the stroke from this button just to show you that you can have more than one variant under a particular component. If this part is not so clear, please feel free to drop questions in the comment section. Moving to the second component property, which is text. Text is pretty simple and straightforward. It allows you to change the text across different variations all from one place. So let me show you how. To add a text property, select your component, then go to the right sidebar, click on the plus icon and choose text. Next, add a value. This value simply represents the default text for that particular component. Now, because the text property was added to the variant and not to the actual text layer, it won't work, right? So what you need to do is select the text that you want inside the button, then go back to the right sidebar and assign the text property you just created to that particular text layer. So once you're done with that, you will notice something important. Our button component now has 2 properties, a variant and a text property. So now let's see this and how this works. So duplicate the button. So once you're done duplicating the buttons, you go to change the text instance, you go to the right sidebar and you're able to change the text and it updates across all related instances. So I'll change this a couple of times just so that you can clearly follow and see what's going on. So we can change this to get started, change this to home, but you can clearly change multiple text across multiple instances all at once, right? Just to quickly show you how flexible components can be. So you can pick one individual instance of the component and change the styling of that particular component, right? You can change the color, or you can also change multiple instances of a particular component, the styling of multiple instances of a particular component directly from that component. So this is how flexible and how scalable a component can be. All right, let's continue. So before moving on to boolean property, which is the third one, I want to quickly share a tip I learned while working with icons, right? If you're not using an icon pack, you will need to set things manually, and this is where naming becomes really important in design systems. For icons, I like to create a folder or a pack. And to do this, what I need to do is rename that particular icon. So I name the icon using a forward slash. So I start by adding a name. That's the name I want that particular folder to be. So let's say icon forward slash and then the name of the icon. Once this is done, I select all the icons and create multiple components. Now I can duplicate the home icon and add it to the button component, right? Because I'm using auto layout, this icon just fits perfectly into the button. So next is Boolean properties. So Boolean is basically on and off. So it's either true or false, basically like 1 or 0, right? To create one, you need to select the component, go to the right sidebar, click on the plus icon and choose Boolean. Once created, select the element that needs that particular property. In our case, it's the icon. On the appearance section, assign Boolean property to that particular icon. Now you can decide whether the button shows an icon or the button does not show an icon. So with just a toggle, you can either toggle up the icon or toggle on the icon. So that's basically it about Boolean, right? It's just yes or no. I want this particular instance to show, or I do not want this particular instance to show. So now to the final property, which is instant swap. If you have ever detached an instance just because you could not replace the icon, this is for you. This feature solves that particular problem, right? So you select the component you want. You go to the right sidebar, that's like the property section, and add the instant swap property. You can rename this into something meaningful. For this example, I would be using icons, or you can just leave it as it is, right? It's just something that you can always understand and something that relates to what you're swapping. For the default value, I would select the home icon, and since we already selected and we already like created the icon folder, it's easy for us to like choose multiple icons from this particular icon folder. You can also add preferred values, which just makes swapping very fast, right? You can add more than one icons as your preferred values, or you could just add one. It's an optional field, but you can create that property without adding preferred value. So once that is done, we can duplicate the button and see how instant swap works, right? Works, right? So we are going to change the text from button to payment, and then from the properties panel, we are going to simply swap the icon. Just click on it from the properties panel, select icon, and then we're going to swap the icon to the payments card icon. And so let's do this again, right? Just so that we can understand better. So we duplicate the instance, change the text, and swap the icon. Notice that we swapping the icon immediately changes the icon, right? So I quickly try to see or show you that you can't paste a component, or you can't paste an icon inside this component, right? So once you've created this the right way, you'd be able to easily like swap your icons, right? Thanks for watching, and I really hope I did not confuse you, and I hope you learned something from this.